So here is the completed December daily journal for 2015 for me, for Lizzie. And one thing that I learned through this whole process was that I don't like to keep things all the same. You know, I like to have my art in there, and I like to have my mixed media in there, and I like to do kind of the scrapbooky thing. But one of the major things that I noticed is that I'm not really a picture taker. And even though I'm a mom, and moms tend to be picture takers, you know, I take random pictures on my cell phone, but they're pictures that mean something in the moment, but not a whole lot otherwise. So while I do have a picture collection of my kids growing up, I'm not really a picture taker. So I'm going to start at the beginning again because I made a whole bunch of changes throughout, and I'll show you what my book contains since I'm not a picture taker. So here's the cover page, and from that shoebox that I showed you last time, I pulled out all of these kinds of things and added all that in. So I haven't changed anything on the front cover, I don't think. In here, I had talked about how I didn't know what I was going to use this nice big envelope for, and I decided that inside of here, that's where I would leave some treasures that came this year. And one of the ones this year, because my children are still young, we still have a lot of the magic of Christmas and of Santa in our home. And so these are the letters from Santa. Each of my children wrote a letter to Santa and received a letter back from Santa. And this is a letter from my son's grade 1 class, and they wrote a letter to me saying, "Oh, thank you so much for all your help." And every single student that was there that day signed the letter. So those are kind of treasures that I probably won't get in the coming years. And so I thought, you know, this is a nice safe place to keep them. That's what I'm going to use them for, put them in here. So the next thing that I did is I added some of the sticker up here. Now you can't really, it's hard to see, but it's just a little bit of holly, sprig of holly up there, and that was again because I found those stickers in the box. I'll zoom in just a little bit, see if I can get all the pages in there. There we go. It's a bit tight, but at least you'll be able to see something. So this is where I started off, and I started just written journaling, and I found that I do enjoy writing journaling. So that was December 1st and December 2nd, and then I added in some embellishments from the tissue or the shoebox, and then I just kind of kept adding. Now on here, I'm going to add a picture because I took a picture with my cell phone of the Christmas tree, and so I thought that I would put the picture of the Christmas tree, tuck it in underneath here, and have it sticking out a little bit to kind of blend in with the forest. And then I added some more elements, and once again the writing journaling, which I discovered I really enjoy doing. So that'll be the Christmas tree, and this talks about how the first weekend of December we got together as a family, my 2 children, my husband and I, and we decorated the house as a family, which doesn't usually happen because usually my husband and children do it as a surprise and I don't have any say in how things happen. So that was a nice change. And then on the back here, it talks about all the Christmas shopping and all my aspirations, like baking cookies with the kids and stuff like that. And on here is a list of stocking stuffers that I might think of or might purchase. This is something you already saw, and inside, remember, it had the movie tickets that my daughter and I went to see, and this talks about the movie. This is just as same as it was in the last video. I still don't have the pictures of the picture of the elves, but I did add some things to the page just to give it a little bit more decoration. And then I'll pull the picture off of my cell phone and add the picture of the elves to this page. I'm not sure when I'll do that. With me, pictures are not my #1 priority, as I really do enjoy all the writing. Here is going to be pictures 2. It was my niece's birthday on the 3rd, or her birthday wasn't the 3rd, but her birthday was then, her party. And so I'll put some pictures from the party there. That's why it's still open. And then once again, I'm writing about my 12 days of Tangled Christmas. And that is what I'm going to be planning to do for all the work I have to do with my channel and stuff. And then that's just a page of writing, and so on as I flip through here. And then just stuff that you've seen. And then this one, all I want for Christmas is a happy and healthy family. I didn't get that. My son got sick and it's kind of put a dent in everything since then. But this was talking about A Tangled Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And if you have been following my channel, I read the story of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I read the whole book and did it in a 12-part series for Zentangling, and then I combined it all together in order that you could watch it as a 3-hour episode if you really wanted to, or listen to it as a podcast. And then I talked about this page already. This was date night, which I already talked about, and I already talked about these. I haven't made any changes. That's why I'm just flipping by and not talking about them again. Still no changes. This talks about the school Christmas parties on December 18th and the last day of school. Talks about watching the movie with the kids and sleeping over with them. My puppies were dancing around the window on December 19th, watching as the snow got shoveled and barking at the neighbors. And we had to put a chair there because they're just wiener dogs, and they were finding a way onto the movable tables we had set up in our living room rather than bouncing at the window. So we had to set up some chairs at the window for the little wiener dogs. And then this one talks about how my son had a flu bug, but how it's December 19th and we're getting to the end of the countdown and we really have to get a move on. I tucked some string in underneath here just to give a little bit of extra detail, and then I just added the poinsettias and the holly and the evergreens. This talks about how my daughter and husband went sledding, and my daughter split open her chin, and we had to use butterfly bandages to make sure that it stayed closed. This talks about capturing moments. It says, note to self, getting lost in art should be done during daylight hours. So I got inspired, and I was laying there having a sleepover with my children and my husband, and I got lost in creating in my mind, and I had to get up and make things. So I got out of bed and I made things. My husband came looking for me at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was mad that I hadn't gone to bed, so he stayed up all night too because he couldn't sleep without me there. It was a big dramatic night, so I thought I'd put a little note in there about being inspired during the day rather than at night. This one talks about going to another birthday party for one of my cousin's children and how we went to his birthday. And I wrote in silver because it's a dark red and a dark green, and it's still legible, but it's really, if you're just looking at it as a graphic, it's just a nice shiny page. And then I used my white jelly roll pen here and there just to highlight some of the things that happened during that time. And once again, I dove into the shoebox and pulled out some decorations. So this is a sticker that is a poinsettia, and then off to the side here is a tiny little leaves of holly and evergreen, and then this is holly as well, and then there's this. So this patch of things here is 4 different components. And then as I flip the page here, I go back to my camera needs to focus again. I wonder if it will. And here again, all I did was do a little bit of writing again. It's the first official day off from school. I used a jelly roll metallic pen to write that there, and off we went. The next page here, I combined a few things and added some things, and I just kind of kept building up the page. And so I really like the way that this page was layered. It looks like from top to bottom it's this nice big beautiful page, but this is all that this page is just this little piece, and then there's the page underneath that allows the bit of overlap to give all that different levels of definition. So this part was a tag. The white was a tag that said remember this, and then there's another little tag here that says happy holidays, and then there is the 6x6 page, and then I added in this element here on the bottom. It's like a like a bracket kind of thing. And then of course I added in the poinsettia, the holly, and the writing. And this talks about how I had a friend over for the evening to do some crafting down in my workshop, which was a lot of fun. And how she stayed quite late into the night. So this page here is things that overlapped from this page on the bottom and such. And then I just added in more components as well. And this says all at Christmas, all roads lead home. And this is a wish list. This one talks about I wished for clean, purged bedrooms, a clean house, the decorations being everywhere. I wished for crafting time in 2016, for new slippers, for new technology, for lots and lots of candy cane kisses. My favorite candy or my favorite sweet is the candy cane kisses that only come out during the holiday season. And so I love them so much that my husband literally buys me like 7 bags of them so that I can fill this gigantic martini glass and then nibble on them through the whole year. This past year, he bought me 12 bags of kisses, one for each month, and I really did run out right on the day before Christmas. So that was really special that I had 12 bags of kisses from last year. This also talks about how I'm looking for a new job in the new year, how I'm looking for trying to have good success in school, and to have improved health in 2016. So we're making some lifestyle changes, and I'm going back to school, and my children have to make some changes in their educational processes as well. So it's going to be a very busy year. Now, this one I thought was quite hilarious, and that's why I covered it with my hand, because it was quite hilarious. And I saw this video on Facebook of this young guy dressed up like his mother going through the house saying ridiculous things about making sure that every wall was scrubbed and that there shall be no something in the house. And it was just the most hilarious thing. And as I were cleaning the house on December 23rd, I realized that this is a universal thing, and that's why it's so funny, is because we all identify with it. So I wrote this page, made it all beautiful and everything, and it says, December 23rd, clean the house before mom loses her mind. And then there's a little badge down here, and it says hope. And I just thought, this is a great place for this. December 23rd, we were cleaning the house. Every time I turned around, the kids were playing with their toys instead of putting things away. And so I just had to laugh about it. I had to make a page in my December daily about clean the house before mom loses her mind, because it's so universal. So December 24th, of course, Christmas Eve, there's a lot to talk about. And, you know, I could have just filled it with pictures, but I didn't really take pictures. I really didn't take pictures of Christmas Eve. So this talks about how we spent the morning kind of cleaning up because my husband was off to work. So the kids and I, you know, tidied up the mess from the day before, finished off the vacuuming and the tidying of the bathrooms and all that kind of stuff, putting everything back to rights from the day before, and how we had a play date and an early supper with my brother and his family. And then we went out to a Christmas party and had to get home before Santa arrived at home. And that's basically talking all about that. This tag here talks about what my husband and I did after the kids had gone to bed, and how we watched zombies. We watched The Walking Dead because we're just so addicted to it. If I haven't said enough so far to tell you how addicted we are to The Walking Dead, yeah, we are. So that's what this was all about. All the things that we had to do after we finished watching The Walking Dead and made sure the kids were asleep, and all the steps we went through and things that were forgotten, and tucking ourselves into bed and realizing that the kids had forgotten to put cookies out for Santa, and jumping out of bed and having to make sure that that happened, keep the magic alive and so forth. So that talks about Christmas Eve, and then a whole bunch of stuff about the 25th on Christmas Day. So Brian, this talks about the night, so how my husband and I, we went to bed, and my daughter joined us at 1:30 in the morning, crawled into bed with us, She laid there wide awake from 1:30 until 2:30, and every 10, 15 minutes she'd be elbowing, punching, bumping one of us and saying, "Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet?" And we just kept saying, "No, no, no." And it finally came down to at 3:30, I said, "Either you go to sleep or you don't get any Christmas." And she just fell asleep instantly. Funny how that works. And then shortly after that, my husband rolled over and turned the alarm clock off. And we'd set the alarm clock because we had to be at his parents' house for Christmas morning. And he turned off the alarm clock. I didn't sleep another wink all night long. So at the bottom of this tag, I put a sticker that says, "The magic of believing," because it just felt so fitting. So the next page is also all about December 25th, and this is a sticker that says "Glad Tidings," and it's a tag that's on here that says "Naughty, Nice," "Naughty and Nice." So I glued a little square on there. It's a die cut with a little mitten, so like a handprint on there for "Naughty and Nice." On the back here, I wrote a letter to Santa. It says "Dear Santa" on the back of this tag. And so I flipped it up and I wrote, "Dear Santa, thank you for everything. My children's favorite thing this year was this. My husband Brian's was this, and mine was this," so on and so forth. This tag here attached to the page talks about Christmas morning and how we opened our presents at home and what my children loved. So that's 7 o'clock in the morning. This talks about 8:30 in the morning, how we had to pack everything up and head out the door to get to my in-laws' house to open presents there. And then that's the highlights on the highlights page that came with it. And then on this page, it talks about how after opening presents, we went home for lunch. Like, this is the gift opening from 8:30 until 12, and then 12:30 we were at home, and then back to supper, and that's all of the 25th. Once again, no pictures. It's all just a novel. Apparently, I like novels. So there you go. That's that. So then we have this Happy Holidays. Now, this started out with just this nice page. It had the cutouts in each of the corners. And it had highlights written here. And it has the date here. And then it was just a lined page. So this here is a Happy Holidays sticker. And it's one of those plastic ones. So you can see through it. It's from one of the Creative Memories sets. And this down here, Dashing Through the Snow, is also one of those. I added some washi tape in here. I added a tab from one of the sets that's in my shoebox. And these are, again, the poinsettia and the holly and all that. Those are all those stickers. And along here, this is a tag and some washi tape. The washi tape has the candy canes on it. This says here that it's Boxing Day, December 26th, and talks about who we spent time with. So Christmas dinner and gift opening on Boxing Day was with my family. And it talks about how special this Christmas was because we currently have 3 great grandparents for my children. So my husband and I together, we have 3 grandparents left, and they're all in their late 80s and early 90s, and none of them are doing very well. So this talks a little bit about how special this Christmas was because we will probably not have them again for another Christmas because they are not doing well. So this was a really good year to do this because there, like I said, will be a lot of changes between this year and next year. So this talks about the 27th. The 27th we went to Star Wars, but it talks about how we planned poorly and how we ended up sitting in the front row in the AVX theater with the 3D glasses, and how my children were too little to push the seats all the way back to a reclining position, so they had to sit there with their heads cocked back for the whole movie, and how although it was a good movie, we didn't enjoy it as much as we could have. It also talks about how we met my husband's siblings and their spouses for dinner, and then we had sleepover again, the kids and I and my husband in our bedroom again. That happens a lot. When the kids don't have school, we have sleepovers. That's kind of our thing. And we kind of feel like we only have a limited time for that stuff. They're not going to do it when we are, or when they're in their teenage years, and we're kind of my daughter's turning 8 pretty soon here, so we're kind of starting to hit the bumper of them snuggling in with us at night, and we know that we're going to miss it, so we're kind of savoring the moments around this Christmas season. So this envelope, I put the tickets in. It's a Star Wars Tix pocket on the day that we went, and then it talks about The Force Awakens, stuff like that. I didn't decorate the back of this envelope. I don't know if I will. I might stick some Christmas stickers, whatever I've got left from my shoebox, but that's what it is. This page, I had mentioned before that I did my 12-part series of A Christmas Carol. It was a 12 Days of Christmas kind of thing, and then how I put everything together into one video as a 2.5 hour, like one that you could just listen to or one that you could watch or whatever. And this is what I drew. I had to shrink it to set it into the book, but I thought that was worth preserving, worth showing that this was one of my crowning achievements of this Christmas season. On the other page is, every year I like to do a self-portrait picture, a painting picture. So this is this year's. I kind of drew the face and I fell in love with it, and I felt like, oh, this looks a lot like me, so I'm going to use this. And then for some weird reason, I noticed that I always go towards the browns and the yellows for skin tones, and this time I decided to go towards the reds and the pinks for skin tones. So I did this whole face, and then I ended up trying to seal it, but I sealed it incorrectly, and I lost it all. It all smudged and made a big mess. So then I had to cover a lot of it with gesso and basically restart. And then I sealed it with a spray rather than a brush. And this is how she came out. So I don't love her as much as I loved her the first time I painted her. But at least I have created her and preserved her for the coming year. So I also wanted to mention that I started doing these self-portraits in 2013, and they really speak to how far I've come and where I am going. So this was 2013. It's just a pen drawing. It's just, I don't know that I put a whole lot of attention into it. And so this is where I basically started in 2013. This is the beginning, or my benchmark, my base point of where I was at in 2013. In 2014, I followed a video done by Tamara Laporte, who is the creator of Lifebook, and so I created this picture from that. And this, in 2014, I cut all my hair off. So this is where I kind of started. I had really beautiful long flowing hair and that kind of thing, and that's kind of my self-portrait for 2014 there. And then here is the one for 2015. So as you can see, my drawing style is changing. I don't know if it's definitely getting better since 2013. I recognize that, but I'm not sure which style I prefer. They are kind of similar, but they're not quite the same. This is also done in just like a Moleskine, and the page rippled, and as I was adding in details, the page tore and stuff like that. So I really just closed the book on this and left it to kind of survive. But I'm definitely changing my artistic style between here and there, and I'm growing, and that's nice to see. That, like, knowing for certain that you're growing artistically is pretty fabulous. So that's that. I don't know if that all belonged in this video, but I did want to mention that this is something that I've started doing for the last 3 years, of doing kind of a self-portrait, and so we'll see what that looks like for next year. This one, I left this as a list of what had happened in the day because it was a day of running around and meeting people for coffee and getting stuff done and visiting and chatting and stuff like that. So I really didn't have much time to do much on this December 28th. So I ended up just making a list of all the stuff that was done on that day. The next one, the night of December 29th, we have a tenant in our house and she came home. So it talks about how she isn't home much and how I miss her quite a lot and how she's planning to move out in February. So I have a limited time of spending with her because she'll be off and wandering the world once February comes. And so that talks about that and how she is 21 and we are a young family. So it talks about her sleeping pattern being reversed from ours and how I didn't sleep at all this night because she was doing dishes and we'd been watching zombies. Remember, we've been watching zombies. So when she's in the kitchen rattling dishes or comes in the door in the middle of the night and stuff, I wake up because I feel like the zombies are coming. And how I didn't sleep that night at all because the zombies were coming every time I closed my eyes. So that talks about that too. This page, I just wanted to do something that reminded me of some of the things that I'd done in 2015. And one of those is a lot of collaging with napkins. And so in a napkin exchange that I did with a bunch of friends that are from the crafters community on G+, we got together and I think there were 7 or 8 of us. And we did a exchange of napkins because you buy napkins in sets of 4 or 8 or 16 or 12 or whatever, and you don't necessarily need them all in your craft supply. So what we did is we spread the wealth kind of thing, and we all got these very unique mixtures of napkins. So because I made so many collages with napkins, I wanted one in this book, and that's what I created. Was I just took a piece of the napkin and then of course added the poinsettias and stuff from my shoebox to add to it a little bit. This is December 29th. It talks about how we got the nice surprise, even the surprise down here, it's a little tag with Santa and the mistletoe, and he's sending us a surprise of sore throats, fevers, swollen tonsils, just a big mess of a day, and how all we did was watch TV and play video games. How we had supper early and we all went to bed early. This page here, this page I really loved. It started out just as traditions, and then it had the holly in one corner and in the other corner, and so I created a list of all of our traditions. And so the list is kind of all the different kinds of writing and fonts and stuff like that. It says Elf on the shelf and says their names were Elmer and Twinkle. Talks about baking sugar cookies with the kids and decorating them all together. Talks about Christmas Eve play dates with some of my family. Covering the windows with paper snowflakes. Decorating the house as a family with all the decorations. Big family Christmas get-togethers on Christmas Eve. Christmas at the Sins, which is my in-laws' names. Making cards, wrapping presents, and Santa. I'm really, really, really gonna miss it when Santa's not such a big part of our Christmas experience. I'm going to be very sad when that is all gone. So then here, I colored it a little bit with my Copic markers. It's the same backwards and front. And then I'm talking about how everyone was sick on the December 30th and how we stayed home in our PJs all day. My husband had some company over after the kids went to bed, and I got crafting time all night last night. And it was, for me, a fabulous day because with everyone being couch potatoes and sickies, all I had to do was keep up the soup supply and the orange juice supply, and they just watched movies all day while I sat in my craft room and crafted. It was a great day. Other than, of course, my children being sick, which isn't fabulous, but it worked. This talks about New Year's Eve. It says this is a sticker from that set from Creative Memories, and then I used the stickers from the kit that the book came in. I still don't know what kit it was called, and I just put tags of what everyone's going to be doing tonight. So this tag talks about how Daddy and daughter are off to a board game night tonight, how my son and I are going to snuggle up on the couch and have super movie night after we build a mega marble-opolis in the kitchen. And this talks about how today I spent a lot of the day crafting and stuff because once again the kids were lost in their video games and their toys from Christmas time. Now I've left this page empty because I did want to talk about tonight once tonight is over. There's some things that are planned for tonight, like my husband said maybe he and my daughter will come home early so that we can all cheer in the new year together, which would be really, really nice. But because there's just plans and nothing concrete, nothing's happened yet, I wanted to leave this page open so that I could add whatever I wanted to it. Now the last page in my book, it started off as just this really nice paisley type of page. I added in this part that came with the kit. My favorite memory came with the kit, and then I layered some papers in here to allow for a nice fancy page. And my favorite memory of the entire Christmas season this year was sitting around the living room on Christmas Eve singing carols with all the children, my grandmother, my mom, and my mom's sisters. We sung Christmas carols in English, some more in German, and they all had to happen before anyone could open their first Christmas present. You had to earn your presents with singing. And I really enjoyed that. And like I said, the likelihood of us having that fourth generation around in the for another Christmas season is very unlikely. So this was a very cherished moment for me, because on my mom's side of the family we have 4 generations of women. We have my grandmother, my mother, myself, and my daughter. So we take advantage and take pictures as the 4 of us quite frequently, because that will not be around for a long time. So anyways, that was my December daily. I really enjoyed this journey. I really enjoyed creating this book. I really enjoyed all of it, but it was quite amazing to discover that I don't take a whole lot of pictures anymore. And maybe that is why I'm not so attracted to scrapbooking anymore, is because the pictures just elude me, or I take, cell phone pictures rather than a whole lot else. So when it comes down to it, I think this type of journaling really suits me, and I will probably do this again next December. Until then, thank you so very much for supporting me and for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me some comments. Did I do it right this time? I don't know. We'll see if I can try again next year. Merry Christmas and have an absolutely fabulous Happy New Year in 2016.